just got busy with work. Um, the last 2 months have been pretty crazy. Staying busy, tests, uh, interviews, all kinds of things that I'm having to do. So I apologize for that. And I got a revelation and a word from God of why I've kind of been stagnant a little bit in the ministry and everything. And that's what I wanted to share with you guys today. I wanted to let you know what was going on and kind of give you another testimony. You know, God's great. We're never perfect, and He's always adding to our testimony. He's always doing something for us that we can testify to how good He is. And our testimonies never end. They just keep getting better and keep growing, right? And I know a couple of y'all know my testimony as far as past life and all that. Um, but this one was a little bit different. Um, I had been, we all think about sin um, being, there's two types of sin. There's the transgression, which is the outward sin, the things we physically do, right? And then there's iniquity, our inward sin, the sin that's in our soul, the thing that the sins that nobody knows about, the sins that we have deep in our souls that we know about, we struggle with, our personal battles, all that stuff. And for a long time I had just been dealing with transgression, trying to be the best I could with the transgression, not sinning physically. You know what I mean? um and I never really understood why there was things in my life that were still bothering me, that were still upsetting me, that were still getting to me, that were still causing me to sin, to transgress, to do transgressions, right? I was like, what am I doing? I'm praying, and I never could figure it out. So, you know, um, iniquity, when we deal with that type of sin, that inward sin, it's all connected, and it makes us. It doesn't make us, but it contributes to all of the sin, transgressions, to everything. You know what I mean? Because if you don't have love in your heart, if you don't have, if you're not right in your heart and your soul, you can't do the things physically that you need to do for God, right? So I never really understood that. I was just like, I'm trying to be the best I can be outwardly. I never understood what was bothering me. And then it had been a while. Like I said, I'd been dealing with a lot of stuff at work. Kind of got behind on reading, everything like that. Wasn't really doing what I was supposed to be doing, you know, for the kingdom. And one day, my wife told me, she said, "Man, have you read? I haven't seen you pick up the Bible." And I was like, you know what? I haven't read, but things are getting pretty hectic. I'm pretty stressed. Things are feel like they're gonna spiral out of control. So I need to pick up that book. So then I start reading, and that's all that God wanted, was for me to get back to that point that I was before. Um, I tell you, it was maybe 3 days. I had a I read, and 3 days later I'm laying in bed. 3 or 4 days later I'm laying in bed, and all these things are going through my mind as far as why has my ministry never gone where I think it should go? Why why has nothing ever come together the way people have prophesied over me? You know what I mean? I've got plenty of words where you're gonna do this, you're gonna do that, you need to do this, this is your calling. Well, when I try to do that, something always gets in the way, and I was wondering, I was like, man, I know this is not it, God. I know I'm supposed to be doing something for your kingdom. Like, you've called me to do it. You've told me, like, why is this not happening? Well, there's only one thing between you and you're calling for God, and that's you. You know what I mean? So I never really understood that. I was like, I'm doing what I need to do, only dealing with transgression, not dealing with the iniquity that I had in my heart. And I'm laying in bed one day, and I had a dream, and so I had taken this our pastor at church. He does like a class on dream interpretation, stuff like that, right? So, and I really, I mean, I believe in that stuff, but I never really thought that it could happen to me. You know what I mean? I thought it was had to be somebody else. And like it says in Acts chapter 2 verse 17, it says, um, I remember this verse for a reason. It blacked out. It says, "And it shall come to pass in the last days, I will pour out my flesh, I will pour out my spirit into all flesh. Their sons and daughters shall prophesy. Your young men shall see visions, and your old men shall have dreams. Should dream dreams, right?" So I was like, okay, it says that in the word that we're to have dreams and stuff. But so I'm laying there in bed. I have this dream, and it's a crazy dream, man, because I've been called to like the motorcycle ministry, do a lot of stuff with motorcycles, go pray at motorcycle clubs or bless their clubhouses, bless their bikes. I do all that stuff, right? So I knew I had already, stepped into that world and everything, and nothing was ever moving. And I had a dream that I was wanting to ride my motorcycle with one of my buddies, and we were gonna go pray for people. And in the dream, I had my daughters with me. Well, I can't put my daughters on my bike, I have two little girls, right? And so I was like waiting for my friend's vehicle to get there, so that I could use his vehicle to give him a ride. My wife wasn't answering the phone, so she couldn't come pick him up. So I was gonna take him to my house, and then me and my buddy were gonna go ride. And in the dream, I was trying frantically to go and drop off my daughter so I could go do this. It wasn't happening. When it wasn't happening, my buddy's car was being used by some of his friends, or his truck. So he said, "Nah, you're gonna have to wait, man." I was like, "All right." So then they get there, but it's in a car now, and it's four guys. They get there and they're like, "All right, man, here's your car. Appreciate it." Well, they get out. I get my daughters in, and I go to get in the car, and the front outside rear view mirror is knocked off. I get in the car. I take off driving to my house, and I wake up. It's a pretty strange dream, right? Just random, dream, crazy dream. So then I'm laying in bed, and I'm like, man, there's something to that dream. I know it. I can't figure it out. So I start praying. I ask God. It's like, what is this? Tell me, Lord. Tell me what this means. Please help me interpret what this means and everything. And all of a sudden, like I've never heard God's voice before, it just starts falling on me. In dreams, a vehicle is a ministry, right? So I didn't know that. Um, so what was happening in the dream was I was supposed to go out to do something with the motorcycle ministry, but I couldn't get into the ministry. It wasn't going to be there. It wasn't going to be ready for me until that until that vehicle got back for me. But I had to deal with the problems that were in the vehicle, the people, the iniquity that I had with the people. The I had to wait for those people, for me to make amends with those people before I got into the car. And the rearview mirror, this didn't come till later on after thing, but the rearview mirror being knocked out is once you get in that car and on that ministry, there's no looking back. You're on a fast track, going forward. And that blew my mind, man. I was like, wow, that's exactly. And then it all hit me. Your iniquity has caused you to wait on that ride, to wait on that vehicle, and you're gonna be waiting until you take care of your problems. And in my mind, I was like, okay, I know what my problem is with those people in the car. Like I know what it is. So I started praying. I was like, God, please forgive me. Please forgive me for feeling like this. Please forgive me. Please, for everything. Just all I could think of. And then he spoke to me again and he said, you've already been forgiven. He said, what you have to do is take care of uh, the past. And I'm not talking about like past, like recent. I'm talking about when I was a kid. I was like, all right, so I'm praying for the wrong thing. Just please help me figure this out. Help me. I'll do whatever you want me to do. And then the word covetousness comes to my mind. And so covetousness, and um, get the verses out, but covetousness, it talks about covetousness in Mark 12, chapter 12:31. Love your neighbor. Oh, so this is what I thought it was. I thought it was Mark 12:31. I thought it was love your neighbors yourself. I wasn't loving my neighbors as myself, but it wasn't that. It was what was going on. Like it says in Exodus 20:17, you shall not covet your neighbor's house, wife, his male servant, his ox, donkey, anything that your neighbor has, that's your neighbor's. And I never really thought that a small sin, like, or it's not a small sin, but what I thought was a small sin as a young man, I didn't think anything about it, that it led to 30 years of destruction, of just terrible things that I've done in my life for the past 30 years. I didn't realize that. And then God opened my eyes to how one small sin, or what you would think is a small sin, can just compound and compound and compound and compound and just keep on making you do. That's why the commandments are so important, man, because if you break one, it can lead you to do so much more and break so many more and just transgress and have iniquity in your heart and everything. Well, I believe it's 10th commandment. I didn't think it was that bad, but watching, I remember, growing up, we were pretty poor, right? And coveting what I saw on TV, you know um back in the 90s, it was MTV and stuff. You watch that stuff and you're like, oh man, I want what this guy has, these rappers and stuff. You're like, yeah, I want this and that. And that pretty much led to me being uh jealous. I didn't even think of it like that or see it like this, but wanting what they had, being jealous because I didn't have it, and then it just spiraled into 30 years down the road, and I thought I had got rid of the hate that I had for certain people and all that stuff, but it was still there, and that's what was blocking me from moving forward with my ministry. That was what was blocking me from moving forward with my family, was blocking me from moving forward with everything, was that deep planted seed of covetousness that had spiraled into control, out of control, that had just made me do all kinds of things. Like a lot of these guys know, drugs, adultery. I mean, just you name it, I've done it. And it started. I didn't realize, but it started all from that one small, in my mind, small thing of jealousy, of being coveted, uh, having covetousness for things. Instead of, back then I didn't know. I wasn't raised in church. You know what I mean? So I didn't know, to be thankful for what I had, to be happy for what I had. I didn't know anything like that. So um, that sin had led to so much destruction in my life, and I didn't know until God showed me. And then I was like, okay, man, well, how do I take care of this? How do I fix this problem? Like, I want this out of my heart. And I started praying, and again, God told me, you're praying for the wrong things. You're not praying for what you need to pray for. He he says, I want you to want me like you wanted all those things. And I'm telling you, this is, you know, a lot of the times before when people would say, oh, I hear God, I felt God before plenty of times. You know what I mean? Um, I've, I thought I had heard his voice, but I always still had that doubt. I was never 100% sure if that was really his voice. Like I still had that small doubt. I was like, man, thought's not my thought. It must be God. I don't really understand how it works. But this time, man, oh yeah, it hit me like a ton of bricks. And um, when he speaks to you, you'll definitely know it. But he said, I want you to want me like you wanted those things in your past. And even now, with the, I want you to want me like you want your ministry, like you want to do this. I want you to want me like that. So that was just an eye opener. It blew my mind. But then after that, it was, it's like God stepped out and he healed me, because I I would no longer look at the people that I had, you know, anger towards and everything. I look at them and I couldn't feel anything. Like I couldn't. I would it was strange to me in my head, because I was like, right now I would be saying something. I would be making a comment. I would be doing, and to me back in the day, it wasn't a problem. It wasn't a sin. It was just saying the truth. You know what I mean? So, like, I didn't realize how bad it was. And then I would look at these people, and it was strange to me, because I was like, I can't I can't say anything bad. Like it wasn't in my heart. I couldn't bring the words out of my mouth. It wasn't in my heart. I didn't feel anything. And the feeling, and when you go from anger and hate for so many years to not being able to be angry or to hate, it's the strangest feeling, because it's like, what, like, you know what I mean? But that's how good God is, that he can heal and take all that away. And if you ask, he will definitely, he's a faithful God. He will definitely um answer your prayers. A lot of the times I wish that it would have happened sooner. It didn't, for a certain reason, for a certain, God has a plan for everything and for our good. So this happened at the right time. It happened in the right place and the right way, for it to be beneficial to people, to me, to my family. But whatever it is, I don't question it. I thank God that it happened. And it's just been, it's been crazy, because it had brought me to a point where I was longing to be for so long. I was like, man, I don't want to do this. I don't want to feel like this. I don't want to be angry. Um, but I don't know how to do it. I pray all the time, God, please take this away, please. I don't want to be like this. I don't want to do this. And nothing and nothing and nothing, and just praying constantly and nothing. But I wasn't going about it the right way. I wasn't asking the right things. Instead of asking God, please show me the root, the cause of all this, and help me heal that. I was just trying to ask God to change my mind. But that's the thing. God won't change our mind. He'll change your heart, but your mind is yours to make up on your own. You know what I mean? So he's gonna let you with your mind, but your heart is what you want changed. And I really never understood that, and when this happened, it was amazing, and I couldn't. I still have trouble processing it, how it's come to be and how it's changed everything. And all it was God wanted me to want Him again. I got away from my first love unknowingly, got away from it, and that's what He wanted. He wanted me to want Him again. And once I did that, I put in the work. I started reading again. um that's when He made these revelations, and I kind of feel like He was like, man, it's been too long. I've been giving you hints. I've been trying to help you so long, but you know, slap to the head. Here it is, because it's been a long time coming, and I'm telling you, it's the greatest feeling. It's the greatest thing that's happened. It's the testimony of being able to stop drugs, stop adultery, all this. That's great. That's fantastic. But that's again transgression, right? But when you have a testimony of how God heals your heart, man, it's so much better, because all that is no longer existence. You finally get to see and feel the way that God wants you to, how He intended you to feel. You know what I mean? So it's been a blessing, man, and I'm just